Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus, one more time, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. In essence, what I'm saying to you is that I have been given a responsibility to make sure that you, the people, are aware of who you are, why you are, and how and what it's all about in the midst of this darkness. Now, the truth of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand that I have been prepared for this. You know, in order to do most things, it's better to be prepared. Sometimes you can do your greatest work when you're not prepared, when it just catch you totally off guard, and it has to happen naturally. Well, this is one of the ways that God prepares people. He sends them out on excursions and expeditions, and they leave it to whatever happens. There's a message, and we might not know what it is, but the master does. So I want to know, I spend my little time living just like most people. So I'm not special. I was born of a young mother, but she definitely wasn't a virgin. And the truth of the matter is, my friends, I have, gone through college. I got college experience. I know what that experience is like. I've been married before. I know what that is like, and I also know what divorce is like. I worked for the government and the Veterans Administration. I got an idea, basically, of how the process works. I don't know everything. I just know some things. But I got an idea. Not only that, I got military service, serving in the United States Navy under Ronald Reagan, which gave me a good opportunity to stand up and start speaking the truth in the midst of all the things that so many Americans were in love with Ronald Reagan for. But there was so much pain also happening. And it is the pain that got my attention. It is the pain that caused me to do the things that I do in an attempt to get rid of that pain, to expose it and offer an alternative. Well, so I ended up deciding that the first thing I wanted to do was stand up against Ronald Reagan. Refused to take orders, got court-martialed and all that stuff, left the Navy with other than honorable separations as a condition. The condition is that I wanted that on my wall. I want America to know that I was so disgusted with the way I saw the government working that rather than have a honorable discharge where I can get some health care, I can get some educational benefits and all of this, no, I didn't want that. Why? Because the system was not fair. And I didn't want to benefit out of this unfairness. And so I came on out of there, did some recruiting in a college. That was good, but then my calling required that I had to give that up. And what would I to do? I was to come to a place that I didn't know anyone, except maybe one or two people. Having been there for a little while, then I was given the responsibility of traveling across the country. And my purpose was to tell people what? To tell them that they were on the path to hell. Now that's the message to all individuals. All human beings, wherever you are, whatever you think, you are on the path to hell. That's the mission that I have been given to share with you from what I call the answer to our problems. Well, so I go from state to state. I share with people. I give people the information, and I watch people how they respond. I do these kinds of things, and I travel and write. And oh yes, I was directed to keep a diary of my happenings and to call it the American Christians on the Path to Hell. The American Christians on the Path to Hell. That is what I was supposed to call that publication. But the mission was to tell all human beings you're on the path to hell. Now I did that. I came back, read my notes, and it indicated that the people were on the path to hell. And then just for, to make sure that clarity was abound, I believe it was in the 80s, 88 maybe, I ran for president of the United States. Well, I think before I'd done that, I ran for mayor of St. Paul, Minnesota, as a Democrat. And I was defeated by a young man, Norm Coleman, who won, and after winning, he switched over to become a Republican. You see, the game is being played. And I just want to say, that it is all good. I want to say this to all of the people, and I want to start off by talking to Donald Trump's supporters. You love Donald Trump. Yes, you do. And you love Donald Trump out of pain and agony and suffering. You're excused. Love him. But I just want to tell you this. Donald Trump is deceiving you. He's lying backwards to you. He came and started talking about a deep state. A deep state. That's one of the things that you already believe in based upon the conspiracy theory. The deep state. And that's, yes, ladies and gentlemen, there is a deep state. But it's not the deep state that Donald Trump is telling you about. Donald Trump is telling you about a deep state, which is just a small part of the deep state. The deep state, the real deep state, Donald Trump is a part of that. He is a main part of that. You talking about draining the swamp? No, he's draining them, putting them in the deep state because the deep state needs them. What is the deep state about? It's about messing over people. It's about abusing people. Yes, my friends, that's what the deep state is all about. And what I want to tell people of color, black people, people of color, I want you to know that the Constitution of the United States did not involve you. It did not involve you. When those guys were coming together talking about let's do this, you didn't count. And every constitution that was written, that was trying to lift you up, didn't mean a thing. There was just gravy, some crumbs trying to pretend. For a time like this, you must know, ladies and gentlemen, that for 400 years, you have been treated like the devil's child. Just barely making it, living across a railroad track, lied to, abused, all of these things that happened. And in the 60s, there were black people who committed themselves, there were white people who committed themselves to fight for change because they believed in the Constitution. They believed in the Bill of Rights. They believed in what is right. And so they stood up, and by standing up, they embarrassed a lot of evil people who had been trying to pretend like they were good people. So they say, well, for now, let's give them some affirmative action, a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but our time will come back. So they did that, and black people accepted it, people of color accepted it as a step forward. They didn't know that the same old people that had been abusing them now having their think tanks planning for 100 years of the future, what they're going to do and how they're going to do it, how you're going to keep you ignorant so you don't know it. Well, you would think you're going someplace, you're really not going any place. You know, like Barack Obama, President of the United States, you think you're going someplace, then you're not going any place. Well, check this out. Let me go back and tell you what happened when I ran for President of the United States. I had to run as a write-in because there was nobody in the country that was interested in the things that I share with you. And I got them all over Facebook, all over YouTube. You can check any video and whatever the topic is going to end up the same thing. It's about righteousness. Yeah, but nobody was interested in that. I talked about the things that they talk about in church. The church people weren't interested in that. And so I had to run as a write-in, which was cool. I was still out there speaking out like a preacher, you know, speaking like Noah. The rain is coming, gonna be a flood. Nobody listened. But I wasn't talking about a flood. I was telling you on the path to hell, and you don't get off this track, baby, you're going to burn. And so nobody listened. But I knew, and I think I mentioned it at that time, I knew why they couldn't accept me. The message that I brought was fantastic. They would have loved, all America would have, I believe, loved for a white man to bring the message that I brought. But a white man couldn't bring it. White man was not qualified. White man was not qualified to do this particular mission. And I came, you know, in a society which had privileged people who had said that who really matter are white people. What really is important is money and their agenda. And so here I come talking about, let me tell you what I was talking about. Let me just mention it to you so I won't be speaking in the abstract. I talked about the world, the earth. Not a human being on it had anything to do with that creation. Not a human being, I don't care how tall you are, how short you are, what color you are. You had a thing to do with that. And all the resources of the earth, you know what the resources are. Yes, you do. We use them every day. We had nothing to do with those resources. Not one thing did we have to do with those resources. In fact, the fact that we are here on this earth, we had nothing to do with that decision. Oh, we were given a process, a part to play in the process, but initially we weren't. It was just done by that same invisible power that we cannot see, can't touch, can't feel, and can't conjure up some old imagination. But the Spirit is there, and everything that exists is the evidence. And so here we are, every last one of us requiring basic essentials for survival. The only way we can stay here is to have those essentials met. Now, isn't it amazing that those essentials that are necessary are either out there amongst the resources wherever they are, in the earth, on the earth, above the earth, seen or unseen, or the gifts to cause a manifestation of that is within us. And each of us have been given a career that we can call our special joy maker, that we can engage ourselves in the process of creating those things that are necessary for our maintenance here. That makes us part owners of everything. We access it when we need it, when we want it, or when we desire it. And nobody got anything to say because it just makes more space for us to keep on having some joy in our lives. And we can do it by employing full employment and create an abundance that there will never be enough room to contain here in the United States of America. And so our borders just overflow. Wherever the borders are, whoever's next to us, just receive our overflow. And then they, my friends, make the light brighter, and they become interested in what we're doing. And they want to do it. Why? Look at what they got out of her. Now, all of that evil is being exposed and dissipating, and love is being expressed. Why? Because now we have access to everything we need, everything we want, and we're making it. Food, clothing, shelter, education, healthcare. Look at every time I go through these cities, and I see the dilapidation that's taking place. Everything that's rotting out. And then you go places and you see gated cities. The gated cities, those are the people that say, shut down the borders. Don't let them come in. You see, but listen, you can't get really upset at them. They're living in a system that created them just like they created everything else. So we got to understand that. We can't really get mad at them because they haven't received the blessings of God's wisdom. That's just the way it is, brother. I know that. I've been doing this for 40 years, and everybody's the same. Everybody's the same. I don't care if you got nothing or if you got something. What color you are, man or woman. Every last one of us is the same. We might not have the same prejudices, but we got some. We might not have the same bigotry, but we got some. And that hate, we might not have the same one, but we got it. And we've got some evil in us. Every last one of us got some evil in us. And we're headed straight to hell. Now, this is not to make you upset. This is just to cause you to think, to wake you up. Now, let me tell you something. These guys who've been out there preaching to you, calling themselves preachers. Now, you know they got this thing that says that whom God chooses, he qualifies. Now, these preachers, how did he qualify them? What are they doing? They're reading scriptures. They'll tell you some of them went to seminaries. They studied, and they're all talking about whatever these particular denominations are talking about. And they all differ, talking about the same God. They cannot unite. They cannot see the world and how to correct the problems of the world. Why? Because these guys are so busy that they're trying to make a living in the world. How can they serve God? How can they tell people about changing the way things are when they are so committed to a system that is deemed directly, diabolically anti-God? How can they do it? That's because they don't know any better. Now, why don't they know any better? Because we live in a system where when you get a little wisdom, you have to bite your tongue. You're scared to talk. You got people saying if you talk, you're going to embarrass us. You got people saying if you talk, they're going to do something to us. So let's just go along with the flow to get along. And God, my. The only thing God gets for people to go to church on Sunday and say, I love God. He saved me. He did this, he did that. I don't see why you're going to say God saved you, because there's going to come a time when you're going to die. Yes, and what you going to say then? Did God hate you because you died? No, God didn't hate you. So these are things that happen, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm telling you these things because I want you to know. Take your trust out of people who call themselves managing you. You think Donald Trump was just straw in the wind. You don't know that Donald Trump, this whole thing was staged. How do you think Donald Trump became president? Because it was staged. Straight up staged. I told you this 1,000 times. That's why they gave you Trump and Miss Clinton. Two people that you called evil. And you accepted that. Once you accepted that, you already said you were no good. So they wanted Trump because Trump is playing to what they're trying to do. What did he come out there? division, hate, talking about a deep state, lying his butt off. Everything he wants you to, every crooked thing that he's about, he tried to throw it on everybody else so you can start focusing on them. The way he's planned to take over this nation by dividing people, take over this nation by killing people with this virus, and he says he's cured of it. I don't know anything about that, so I'm not going to dwell on that. But what I do want to tell you about, ladies and gentlemen, is that you think that because Trump has been so bad, that you can beat Trump. This ain't about Trump, ladies and gentlemen. This is evil. Trump is just a tool being used for evil. So you can't start trying to strategize Trump. Look at what they're doing. Evil is stacking the courts. Evil is saying that we the white people going to take this nation back. We're going to run everything. We're going to be the God of this America and possibly God of the world. If anybody's to survive and live, it's because we white people approved it. Now, I'm not trying to grasp all white people, because I want you to know that it has been white people. Every time black people have been dying, standing up for what's right, standing up for freedom, there have been white people who have been committed, just as we on the battlefield go out there shooting, killing other people in other lands that we don't even know anything about, just doing it because they told us to do it, trying to protect this thieving nation, this crooked nation. This nation, yes, I'm talking about this nation that we call America, that I've been living in for 70 years. The nation that I know what I'm talking about. Yes, you've had a good life. I'm not knocking that. Have your good life. I ain't going to put you down for having your good life. I'm saying that we have had a messed up life, and we are tired of it. We're not blaming you. But when we protest, you can't tell us to walk down the street, peaceful protest. Let me tell you something. You know what peaceful protest is going to do? It's going to get me to be the President of the United States. Yeah. Peaceful protest is not going to do one dead blasted thing. Not one thing. Now, they say, don't go destroying property. What that mean? That means that the property is important and you are not. That's why they can close down the borders, because the people are not important. That's why they can play games and try to just play, what they call them people, cheerleaders, rather than be honest with the people. And you accepting all of this mess, all of this hell that's going all around you. And people on social media and everybody's talking about it, identifying it, trying to get you to focus on it, trying to get you to understand what's going on. They are hoping that something that they say can stimulate, motivate, grab you, and take you to a place where you might be able to do something. They don't know that you are caught in the same old hole that they are caught in. You're scared. You're scared. You're scared. You're scared because you're living in hell right now, the makings of it. And anybody that stands up and draws true attention, I'm not talking about just talking. See, the church is just talking. That's why they let them do it. That's why they let them keep on doing it. Let them get their 501(c)(3) or whatever, them tax exempt. Let them go ahead on and play the game. They ain't not doing a thing. Stand up. And what the first thing they're going to do, they're going to get you. They're going to get you. Now you say, well, if they're going to get you, why don't you stand up? Well, see, once you get got by the Spirit of God, you're going to do it. Now the hope is that this being got can touch some of you. That spirit can go out there and grab you and get you involved to the point that you're not going to go for this anymore. Now, when you decide that you're not going to go for it anymore, it's over. It's over. But right now, this election is coming up. And it doesn't matter really who wins, the Democrats or the Republicans.